Yeah, I think I'm almost there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says now streaming live.
Okay, fantastic. I'll just go great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in with me this evening. Tonight I have an incredible, powerful woman with me in the house. You can actually see from her smile already. It's a pleasure to have every one of us here. And my purpose for this platform is to actually introduce us to incredible people, information, and idea that can actually help us to live better or to achieve whatever goals and desire that we really want to execute on. So today, like I said, I have an incredible superwoman with me in the house. And we're gonna also be talking about a very important topic that has to do with our health and our lifestyle. And I will recommend, if possible, you have the opportunity to join us in this section. I would recommend that if you have the possibility of sharing this message across your platform or inviting anybody to join us on this section, that would be highly appreciated and as well could be very smart for you to do. So yeah, let's hit on this. The person I have with me today is Dr. Olivia Arillo. This woman is an incredible woman. Aside from what she do, I have a bit of who she is personally. And she is the founder of Fit for Purpose, a platform where she educates and put information across to whoever cares about whatever she teaches. She's a medical doctor in practice, and we're going to be talking about cancer prevention and how to live a healthy lifestyle. It's a pleasure to have you, Dr. Olivia, in the house. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, Eddie. Thank you for having me. This feels like a catch up, really. It's been a while since we've seen, so it's good to
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
virtually. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's really a pleasure. I know you are a very busy person. You have so much on the table to juggle with. But I really want to appreciate you for taking your time to honor this invitation. You know, like I said before, we have a very sensitive topic that we will be talking on this very evening. We're talking about cancer and the prevention and how to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Mm.
So, but before we dive in more deeply, let's, I want to ask a question. There are so many people who practice like you, who don't really go that extra mile trying to put information, awareness, and education across for people so that they can get the best of it. But aside from you being in the hospital working, you also find the space and the time and the energy to come online and create an awareness, educate people. What was your motivation? Why did you do doing this?
um, I think because I think health is something that is so important. But not only that, it's something that we can all relate to, because we are all on this earth and we can't afford to live it, anyhow. And, you know, health is wealth. You've heard of that, quote that people just throw around.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
actually, I think literally that is true because, see, I can have a car and I can lose my car, and that's fine, right? I can buy another car. I can have, money. I can have millions of money in the bank and, go bankrupt for some reason, but I can learn to make that money back. I can, I have a house. I can have even 10 houses and lose all that house. I can make money back. But when I lose my life, I cannot gain it back. You know, so actually, you know, if we're going to invest in anything at all, the first one should be our health. Because without health, you know, you don't have anything. When you lose your health, when you lose your life, then, you know, what's the point of the car? What's the point of the success that you're trying to achieve? So for me, I mean, being a doctor, you know, of course, yes, I care about people. But once I started practicing, it became more than that. Actually, I realized that people often don't have the knowledge about health. Also, people don't prioritize their health. People don't see the importance, even though they might, you know, they talk about health and health is important. But when you see how people actually live out their life, you find that actually health is not on top of their list. And actually, for all of us, it should be something that we think about, but also not just think about it, but actually do something about it. Because, you know, this body, this mind, what we have is what we have to live through this life, okay? And no matter how big your aspirations, no matter how, you know, rich you want to become, no matter the education you want to get, without you in front of me right now, Eddie, you cannot do it. And so, you know, health is really important. And I'm really passionate about impacting that knowledge, but also raising that awareness in people. I need people to know that it's actually your life is important, your health is important, and you need to be aware of that. So you take ownership of your health. As a doctor, I might be an expert in the sciences, but you are the expert of your life, of your body. You know more about yourself than I do. I can guide you, give the information, even prescribe things for you, but you know what works for you, you know? So it's just having that understanding about our health and taking control of that.
Wow, incredible, amazing. Thank you so much for your efforts. You know, so let's go straight to the conversation for today. You know, cancer is being recorded as one of the leading causes of deaths in the globally today. You know, so what is actually cancer?
I think, you know, in one word, there's no one word actually, but basically, let me just break it down because I like to explain things in very simple terms. One of the things that I've learned after going through medical school is that they teach you all these big terminologies.
Yeah.
And then once you start practicing, you realize the people sitting in front of you are just normal people who actually understand normal, simple English, you know, and therefore you have to unlearn all those jargons and make things simple so people can relate to it. And that is important. So basically, you know, our body is made up of, you know, trillions of cells, okay? And every cell in your body is really important. You know, our DNA, which we all know when we went to school, we have a DNA, which is sort of our blueprint, basically. Our genes, they control every cell. They send the right signals, the right messages to every cell so that our cells can do all the normal functions, okay, that allows us to live out. You know, I'm able to lift my hands without thinking about it because my body is doing that. You know, you're able to smile without even thinking about it. It just comes naturally. So everything that we do, the ability to move, the ability to eat, to swallow, to, you know, to even want to defecate, to urinate, whatever we do in our body that we do so well is because there are systems in place that is allowing it to happen, even though we don't see it, but we see the effect of that on the outside. And what happens in cancer is that something goes wrong, okay? There's a malfunctioning in the system, okay, which then makes your genes send out the wrong messages to the cells. The cells then start multiplying in a very fast speed. So normally, if your cells were going to make more of themselves, maybe every 10 cells in an hour, when cancer happens, your cells are making like 100 to 1,000 cells within an hour. And not only that, is then making the cells in a defective way. So it's making abnormal cells. And then it starts sending the wrong messages to other parts of the body. So things basically go out of control. So you get uncontrolled growth, very disorganized growth of cells. And not only that, the reason why cancer is so powerful is that those abnormal cells then begin to take over the normal functions in the body. They begin to start invading into other parts, into other structures, and take over basically. And then, of course, you see the result of that. a disease process, which can lead to death. So it's a very serious condition. It's something that is affecting millions and millions of people every year. You know, around the world, we're having about 8 million people every year being affected with cancer. When we talk about in terms of men and women, 1 in 2 men would have cancer in their lifetime, 1 in 3 in women. So this is quite significant. It's a big problem. So I'm happy that we are really talking about it, because something that is relevant, particularly when it comes to our health, that we need to be aware of.
Wow, wow, wow. Honestly, this is really quite interesting. You know, like, not quite so long, and I was listening to a conversation with that somebody had with one of these ex-president from one of these Africa country. I think it's Zambia or thereabouts. So, you know, this ex-president guy happened not to be fortunate with his cancer of a thing. He lost his ex-wife to cancer, and the wife he remarried also have cancer as well. And after some time, he also realized that he also have cancer as well. And before he was being diagnosed, you know, cancer have already metastasized to, I think, stage. I think there are stages in cancer, right?
Yes.
Already metastasized to that stage 4, I guess. You know, which is a very sensitive stage. You know, so my question is this: what are these early keys that we can actually use to detect the cancer in the body?
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to cancer, of course, today we're talking about cancer in a broad term, because, of course, there are different types of cancer depending on the site of the body. So there's over 200 types of cancer, you know, and cancer really can affect any part of the body, because essentially it's affecting the cells, and because we have cells in different parts of the body. When it comes to detection, early detection, that is quite key, because we know that with cancer, any type of cancer, the earlier you can pick it up. So if you can pick it up at an earlier stage, where it's contained, where it's not spread to other parts of the body, then your chances of having effectiveness in terms of the treatment that you receive, how effective it can be, that is helpful. And also survival, because if we pick it up early, you can have treatment earlier, and then therefore your chances of actually being cured or surviving from that cancer is much, much, much greater. And we know that even though lots of people are dying from cancer, we also know that a lot of people are surviving from cancer. So it all depends on picking up cancer early. So therefore, you know, symptom recognition becomes very important. So that is why, you know, as individuals, we need to know our bodies. Because when you know your body, when you are health aware, when you are health conscious, when things are different in your body, you can pick it up, right? The same way when I'm hungry, you know, sometimes we know we feel like we feel the changes that makes us feel hungry. Maybe our tummy will even be rumbling. That is a sign that naturally body has put there. The same way, when you know your body, when something is a bit different, you can just pick it up. Oh, why am I so tired? Why am I losing weight? Because you are aware of your body. Okay, so symptom picking it up early is important. Then of course it's one thing to pick up symptoms, but it's another thing to do something about the symptoms. So obviously presenting early is important, because if you identify that you've got some symptoms that you're worried about, don't sit on it. So actually seeking help early is important, so that the diagnosis can be made earlier. And if we can make the diagnosis early, then of course you'll be treated much earlier than later, because we know that with cancer, once it's progressed, like you said, the stages, once you progressed, you know, and it's advanced, then it's not that you might not be cured, but the likelihood is often less, you know. So that's why it's important that we pick up things early. Yeah.
Wow. So now, like somebody said that I don't know how true it is. Somebody said that cancer actually spend like 80% of its lifetime growing in the body without being noticed. You know. So, but what are some of these common symptoms that we can we should watch out for in our body?
Yeah. So of course, when it comes to symptoms, like I said, it depends on where the cancer is. Okay. So depending on which structure the cancer has been affected in, you might see symptoms that are localized to that organ. So for example, for breast cancer, usually a lump might be a presentation, a breast lump. It might be nipple changes. It might be a discharge from the nipple, for example. Whereas if you talk about maybe a colon cancer or bowel cancer, someone might present with bleeding from the back passage. Someone might present with new onset constipation or new onset diarrhea. So that's dependent on where the cancer is actually, okay? If someone has got brain tumor, they might present with more of a persistent headache that is not going away, or they might present with vomiting, alongside the headache, or sometimes not even, it's just out of random, it will happen. So you might get symptoms depending on where the problem is initially. Then of course, as the cancer spreads, then you might have other symptoms in different places. The other thing also, you might have general symptoms that is usually common to all cancers, so systemic symptoms. So weight loss, whether you're having breast cancer, prostate cancer, brain tumor, whatever, often people will present with significant weight loss. So we're talking about weight that, is not because you are dieting, it's not because you're planning on losing weight and you've been doing something to do that, but all of a sudden you're just drastically losing weight. People can even see, you can feel it in your clothing that you're losing weight. So that is a red flag, okay? That is common to every cancer. Also, loss of appetite. Can happen, because what is happening is that when cancer is taking over, it starts taking over some of the functions of the body, okay? So you might lose your ability to eat. You just don't feel the need to eat. And that probably contributes to you losing weight. The other thing is tiredness, feeling tired all the time, very weak, to the point that like no energy at all. Of course, some of these symptoms are very non-specific, because we've all felt tired sometimes. I feel tired sometimes as a mom, So, sometimes when the symptom is very non-specific, we tend to ignore it, or we tend to attribute it to something else, or we just think, oh, I'll get over it. And then we don't do much about it. But I would say that particularly if you're having a non-specific symptom, like, feeling just tired, and you picked it up, you tried everything, you're sleeping well, you're resting, you're doing everything, but this tiredness is just not shifting away, and it's persistent. I think the key word is persistent of symptoms, because naturally our body is actually able to cope with a lot of things. Your immune system is so kitted to sort itself out, okay, to sort the body out. So normally we can handle things. That's why sometimes you get a bit of a headache and you just try to sleep well, you eat well, and then you recover, right? That's why we get flu and we recover and all that. But, when things become persistent, it becomes overwhelming for the immune system that is not coping anymore. That is a red flag. So that's when you need to, say, actually, this tiredness is not just me being, tired. It's not in my mind. Let me actually seek help about it. Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, I think this is really smart. Sometimes we tend to overlook some of these signs when the body is communicating with us. We take it to be normal, probably maybe because I've overworked myself, or probably because I didn't sleep well, and yet we keep recurring and recurring until this is honestly this is
yes.
Easily smart. So now let's talk about the nutrition aspect, because I learned that a better immune system can actually help to fight against cancer. So what are the kind of nutrition that is being medically recommended and help to boost our immune system against the war of this against this cancer of the thing?
Yeah. When it comes to cancer, I think most people think, oh, is it because did I inherit a gene or something, that's why I've got cancer? But the good news is actually, we know that 90 to 95% of cancers, okay, is preventable. It's due to environmental and lifestyle things, okay? So we all have the power to do something to help our body, to support our body. And the key driving factors of cancer is usually what is happening is a weakened immune system, because your immune system is your number one defense, okay? That nature, God has naturally put that there for you to help fight things, to ward off any strangers in the body, okay? So your immune system normally is good. When I say kitted, it's like, it's very good at doing what it does. So it's when your immune system is weakened that it therefore can no longer cope with the insult that something like cancer brings, okay? So it needs help. So a weakened immune system, and then inflammation in the body. So when we're talking about inflammation, we're talking about anything that sets up a reaction that creates more toxin in the body, creates more, you've heard of oxidative stress or free radicals. These are things that maybe through our diet, through our lifestyle choices, through environmental toxins, we get in the body that create this hostile environment of inflammation that actually drives cancers, because cancers thrive in that kind of environment, okay? And the immune system really normally can reduce that, but often it can't, yeah, because of lifestyle. So it's good that you mentioned about nutrition, because nutrition is something that we can all do something about, right? We all eat, we all drink. I've never seen anybody, even the most spiritual person, who says they are fasting every day. They still somehow eat. They still somehow drink. So it's something that we can all, actually, we have control over it. What we eat, I make a choice what food I eat every day. I make a choice what food I buy every day. So in terms of scientifically, the kind of nutrition that we found that to be helpful to prevent cancer, you need to be having foods that are more anti-inflammatory, so anti-inflammatory, because you want to try and reduce that inflammation that goes on in the body. So we found this in plant-based foods, okay? So plants, so I mean, most anything that grows on trees or grows from the ground, okay, is plant-based foods. The reason being because plants have their own amazing things. So usually, insects would attack, plants, they eat plants, but plants also have their own gadgets. They have their defense mechanism. They have something called phytochemicals, okay, which they use to ward off their own strangers, okay, their own insects, so that they are not eaten. So even though those phytochemicals are toxic to insects and to bugs and to things that are attacking plants, when we eat those plants, we get those chemicals. They are protective in our body. And the thing is that we cannot get those phytochemicals anywhere other than plants. We don't get them from animal products, yeah, we get them solely from plants. So if you're the kind of person that says, oh, me, I don't like plants, I'm not, I don't eat salad, I don't eat all these things, you are missing out, yeah? Because are you going to be eating meat every day? That's the question, because the things that you need to support your immune system, to create an environment which is friendly for your body to be able to fight things like cancer, is from plants. So the advice is that we need to be eating more plant-based foods. It doesn't mean you have to be a vegetarian. It just means that you need to make that plant-based your foundation of your diet, okay? So have more of that. And I always, to make it simple, I say just have a rainbow of plants. So, we have a variety of vegetables, right? We have a variety of fruits. There's so many of them. So just be adventurous. Just make sure in your day, have 7 different colors of plants in your diet. Plants, yeah? So we're talking about, it could be kale, it could be lettuce, it could be cabbage, it could be, courgette, it could be whatever. Basically have a variety of colors, because the richer the colors are, the deeper the colors are, the more of those nutrients they have that your body needs, okay? So have a variety of that. Another thing that we know that increase your risk in terms of your nutrition is processed foods. So when foods are not in your natural state, processed foods are anything that you've changed from its natural state to a different one.
Yeah.
Now, isn't it surprising that we live in a society now, when you go to the supermarket, right, there's only like one aisle of fruits and vegetables. Basically, the food that will save your life, they've only given you one aisle of it, all right? And all the things that can kill you, they've given you hundreds of aisles of it, yeah? But that's when you need to be smart, yeah? You need to be smart, because the honest truth is that because of economical reasons, because of political reasons, a lot of the things that are on the market is not done with you in mind as a person. So that's why as an individual, you need to prioritize your health. You need to make decisions about what you are going to put in your body. So you have a choice to decide that I'm going to eat more of this, even though they've only given me one aisle of it, or I'm going to pack my trolley full of the rubbish stuff, yeah? So processed food. So we're talking about processed foods, processed meat, Yeah. So anything meat that has been changed, so like sausages, you know, salami, all those things that have been changed, yeah, processed, right? You're smiling. I'm sure you do eat them. So, so processed meat, red meat, we know can be carcinogenic. The reason being is that when we eat meat, okay, our body, when we eat meat, our body processes the meat in a different way to plants, and then it releases off certain compounds which become very toxic in the body. Okay, so does that mean that everyone that eats meat is going to have cancer? No, because of course with cancer there's so many different factors that play a part. But if you're eating too much meat, this is the time to reduce it, because we know meat, red meat particularly, is a risk factor for bowel cancer. Okay, so if you're eating too much of your meat, and I come from a culture where you have to have your meat. Okay, so this is the time that we need to change our mindset about certain health beliefs and certain things around our diet, and we need to make the necessary changes. So processed foods, we need to cut it down. Processed meat, we need to cut it down. Then of course, so basically, essentially, you should be aiming for more Mediterranean kind of diet. Okay, more grains, more legumes, more nuts, more seeds, more plants, leafy green vegetables. Those are the kind of diet that has been shown to be protective against cancer, but not only even cancer, against diabetes, against heart disease, against high blood pressure. So you're going to be getting an all-round benefit when it comes to your health. But of course, there's a lot of other things other than nutrition. There's so many other things which I'm happy to talk about as we carry on.
Honestly, this is I don't even know how to I don't know how to what to say about this. Is really quite amazing. You know, personally, I came from a kind of culture or a community whereby a lot of things are being misconstrued. You know, like we came from a culture whereby if you don't have so much meat in your plates, it look as if you can't afford it. You know. And like back there when I was growing up, so we used to admire people with kind of obesity or with a kind of big fat tummy as sign of weight. You know, when you have a big tummy, you so you know it shows like you're well to do, you have money. You know, until after some time I kind of realized, okay, no, this is actually the other way around or something.
Yes.
You know, so I think I really hope a lot of people should get hold on this piece of information. I think this is actually quite going to be very helpful to so many, many of us.
Yeah.
You don't think you have to pile up your plates, a lot of mates for you to feel like, man, you're living a good life or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm quite glad that you mentioned about obesity, because of course obesity is actually the major risk factor for cancer. Okay, because obesity, when you have excess weight on your body, yeah, and like you rightly said, you know, from my culture, you know, having a woman having more curves, well, we call it curves, having more curves is a sign of, you know, beauty and everything. But of course, naturally, I think naturally God has, between men and women, God has made women more curvaceous anyway, so you don't need to add extra fat to actually show that, you know. And what people, it comes still down to the lack of knowledge, because what people don't know is that that extra fat you're carrying around is a sign of disease, and actually going to end you up in more trouble and more problems. And of course, the men, you know, pot belly. If you have a pot belly, you know, which is a big abdomen, you know, centrally, you know, then, you know, it's a sign of worth, but it's actually a sign of death, you know, because that's a lot of disease that you're carrying around, which you don't need to carry around. There's no need for that. Because what we know is particularly central obesity. So the obesity, the kind of fat that is around the abdominal area or around the hips, they are more even dangerous, okay, than the kind of fat that you have here, okay? So losing that weight is important. The reason being, fat is like excess storage, basically. So when we consume our food, when we consume our drinks, the excess energy or food that we've eaten that we don't need, the body then says, okay, let me just store it out for later. And the way it does that is it stores it up as fat. But, you know, don't be deceived that because it's just fat, it's just sitting down there sleeping, waiting for when you need it. is not doing that, because remember, fat cells are actually cells, and every cell in your body is active. Okay, every cell in your body, whether it's a fat cell, whether it's a liver cell, whatever cell that you have in your body is actually active. Active means that it's actually doing something in the body. Okay, so it's not just sitting down waiting to be changed later to energy. It's actually doing something. And what fat stores that the more fats you have, what the fat cells start doing, they start releasing more hormones, things like estrogen. Too much estrogen can be a risk factor for things like breast cancer. Okay, so fat stores start releasing these chemicals, these hormones. Okay, that starts sending messages to other parts of the cells, telling the cells to replicate. And we know that cancer is when cells go out of control. Cells start making more of themselves. They're making it really quickly, okay? They start making mistakes. And so that's where you have cancer forming. So we know obesity, being overweight, is a risk factor for cancer, particularly in women, for breast cancer, for bowel cancer, for a lot of other cancers. So this is for someone to be aware of. Maintain a healthy weight. You know, make sure you are aware of your weight. When you are putting on weight, don't, you know, people get deceived when they're putting on weight. They're like, okay, let me just get the next dress size up, or let me just, you know, loosen up my trouser a bit. And that's your body telling you, oh boy, girl, you know, something ain't right. You know, let's sort it out. So don't just cover it up. You know, this is the time for you to then say, okay, let me exercise a bit more. Let me move a bit more. Being mindful of the fact that we live in a society now where most of us are not moving at all. We have cars, you know, we sit in our car most of the time. They've made life easy for us. We have lifts, you know, so we don't go up the stairs anymore. We don't run up the stairs. We know we take the lift when we want to, you know, so we're not moving at all. And often I find myself, as a doctor, I'm always asking people, they tell me, oh, you know, doctor, I'm really active. I'm really doing exercise. I was okay. Let's wait. Tell me exactly what you mean by that. What exactly? Oh, you know, I take my children to school. Okay, are you running with your children going to school? No, we're just walking. Of course, if you're walking with a 2-year-old to school, you're not going to be sprinting, right? You're going to walk and take your time. So that is not actually exercise. That's not activity. Yeah, you're just moving and just moving your joints, but you're actually not putting any demand on your fat stores to burn it. Okay, so that's no exercise. So we need to have deliberate intention. So I mean, going on to that, exercise is another risk factor. So not the lack of exercise, you know, not moving can be a risk factor for cancer. So the reason being, because when we exercise, apart from the fact that, okay, it's good for the heart and all that, your body actually secretes hormones, okay, that actually prevent cell damage. Okay, so they prevent cell damage, they prevent things like cancer. So exercise can be beneficial in preventing cancer. And even for someone that maybe has cancer, being active helps with recovery, with healing, you know, with you recovering from your cancer and actually also responding to the treatment that you're having. So it's really crucial that we are getting our diet right, we are maintaining a healthy weight, we are making sure we are keeping physically active, okay? We're making sure that we are not exposing ourselves to any substances that puts us at risk of cancer. Things like smoking, right? Smoking, tobacco. I mean, I think a lot of people know. I mean, the whole world knows. Now, on the smoking packages, you put, you know, smoking kills, all right?
Yeah.
That's somebody actually trying to clear their conscience to say, okay, well, I've told you smoking kills. It's up to you whether you smoke or not, right? So that's, once again, the political part and the economical part actually overriding the need that people should not be smoking, because we definitely know that smoking kills. Not only does it kill because of lung cancer, smoking affects the heart, you know, heart attacks, stroke. It causes a lot of, like, about 13 different cancers is because of smoking, you know. So we know this, and these are serious conditions that are killing people. But once again, the ownership is on the individual. It's your choice. You make that choice to buy a cigarette. You make that choice to smoke. You make a choice to stand in front of people smoking. So you need to then start prioritizing your health, investing in your health, taking ownership of your health, and making sure that you're doing the necessary things to reduce your risk and also to prevent your risk, because we know prevention is better than cure, right? So if we can prevent ourselves, why not? Why should we not do that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is pretty amazing. Actually, sometimes when you I'm glad that you actually really mentioned this exercise of a thing. Of course, I intended to ask you about it as well. Sometimes when you ask most people, why don't you exercise? Sometimes people will tell you, oh, the job I do is even an exercise, and like you said, taking my kids to school is an exercise or something. Let's quickly talk about this exercise of a thing. You
Mm.
mentioned like intentional, being intentional about it. You know, Aside from subscribing to a membership in a gym center, or yeah, in a gym center, or with the physiotherapy recommendation or something. So, what are the what will you recommend? What kind of exercise will you recommend for people to keep doing that can help
Yeah.
to reduce it?
First of all, I think we sometimes complicate things, right? When it comes to health generally, and when it comes to health as well, and we shouldn't really. What I say, that see the whole world as your gym. You don't have to have a membership. I don't have a gym membership. The only time I had a gym membership was because I wanted to learn to swim. And I know definitely I cannot attempt to go and swim in the water by myself unless I want to drown. So
Oh,
I
oh,
needed to
oh.
have that lesson. All right. And even though alongside that membership came with, you can go to the gym, I felt very uncomfortable actually going to the gym. When I go there, it's like see all these people with their muscles,
Also,
you know,
right, right.
trying to lift the weight and everything. I was looking a bit silly actually. So, and sometimes you don't even know how the machine works, and you're thinking, why am I here? So for me, that wasn't for me. But does that mean that I shouldn't keep active? So, going for walks. And I say that if you're going to go for walks, aim for 10,000 steps minimum. Okay. That should be your target. If you're not, you don't have anything yet, start small and build up with the aim to get there. And then, of course, naturally, when we start exercising, our body actually adapts as well. This body you are looking at is so capable, okay? It's what you give your body will take it. Your body can adjust, it can cope. So when you start small and build up. So it's as simple as going for a walk. So, but when you go for work, you're intentional about it. This is what I want to achieve. Yeah. I want to do 15 minutes of exercise every day. I am going to do it, before my lunch break, or during, the first thing before I actually have my lunch, or I'm going to do it after my lunch break. So it's about being specific, being smart with what you want to do, being intentional, being smart about it, setting reliable, and achievable goals. Because you can't say, oh, I'm going to run, I'm going to do an hour when you can't even manage 5 minutes. Yeah. So set something that you definitely know you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Do you need help to do it? Do you need a friend? Do you need your husband to push you along? Do you need your wife or whatever? So is that. But also being opportunistic with your movement. So it's not even at home. Sometimes in the kitchen, right? I'm in the kitchen cooking. And while the thing is on the fire, and I'm not doing anything. I'm just really waiting for the food to cook to a level. Come and see me. I'm doing squats in my kitchen. I'm actually doing the squats in the kitchen, or I'm doing, jumping jacks. I do 10. That's me. That's part of exercise. So what the recommendation is that we should be doing 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. Okay. 30 minutes or 30 minutes to an hour. We need to be aiming for more like aerobic type of exercise. So moderate aerobic type of exercise. So that kind of exercise that gets you out of breath. Okay. So like if you're going walking, do brisk walking, not the one that you take your time doing catwalk. You're taking your time, that kind of thing. You need to actually do brisk walking. Anything that will get your heart racing, feel a bit out of breath. Okay, that's the kind of exercise you want to aim for. Of course, you can make it more intense. So we know that things like HIIT, which is high intensity exercises, can help, but you can do bursts of it. So you can do maybe 30 minutes of your moderate exercise, but twice a week you can do a HIIT, like sprint, or
Yeah.
you go on the treadmill, or you go for a swim, a fast swim, those kind of things. That one, you cannot talk, you cannot even say a word out of your mouth, you cannot sing or anything like that. You need to do that. then what you should also be aiming is your muscle strengthening exercises. Yeah, so you want the cardio part, but also you want the muscle strengthening, because when we don't use our muscles, they waste, they get weaker. All right. So exercise as well. Make sure that you're strengthening your muscles. So that could be weight, but even weight, dumbbells are fine. You know, cans of tomato. This me being very practical with it. You know, so for someone who says, "Oh, I can't go to the gym, I can't do weights," you know, you have cans in your house. You have, you know, those washing up liquids, you know, they have a bit of weight. You know, anything that has a bit of weight, you can actually use it. Whatever feels like weight to you, you can use it to strengthen your muscles. Squatting is a form of muscle strengthening exercises. So you can do all those things. So there's no excuse at all. And also, now there's a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, I use that a lot. So I have 5 minutes one, I have 10 minutes one, 15 minutes one. So, you know, when I can't do the hour, I can't do the 30 minutes, I can do the 5 minutes one. The thing is consistency. We need to be consistent with our exercises. We need to be intentional about the exercises. So aim for something that will get you out of breath. Aim for something that will strengthen your muscles, and make sure you're doing it consistently. There's no point doing exercise today, then the next time we saw you doing exercise is 2 months down the line. Everything that you gained today, you've lost it. You know, so there's no point. It's about, even if it's small, 10 minutes, and you're consistent, you're going to get results, and you're going to actually see the benefit in your health as well.
Wow, wow. Actually, this is actually this is where a lot of people actually really getting it wrong, because most people think they have to subscribe membership to the fitness center in order for them to work out or something. You know, actually, and during this pandemic lockdown, personally, I couldn't realize that almost everything that I have in my house is an instrument for the workouts.
Yes.
About the table, you know, like personally, like me, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is try to do my push-up, and then before I actually do any other thing. Although I also try to build a little gym fitness in my house or something, but before I could do that, I was trying to use whatever I have in my house. The push-up, I told myself whenever I wake up in the morning, yeah, I'm gonna do 50 push-up before I do any other thing, and I try to stick to it. And the more I stick to it, the more I see the effect of it on my body as well. I actually think a lot of people should try to. You don't have to subscribe for membership to any fitness. If you can afford it, you do it. But if you cannot afford it, there are so many thousands of ways you can work out in your own house.
Yes.
Without giving anybody money, you know?
No, definitely. I think, like, you're right. People are getting it wrong. And I think maybe coronavirus has shown us the way out, right? Because the gyms have been closed. So are we going to be sitting in our house and piling on the weight? No. And every structure in your house actually is an exercise device. One advice I would also give, actually, that one of a friend actually said, when you wake up, don't worry about, let me change into my special gym wear. Whatever you are wearing, your pajamas, whatever. Like, I love the fact that, you wake up and you do your press-ups. Yeah. And it's so good that you're doing that, because sometimes we can talk ourselves out of the exercise, right? You're like, let me brush my teeth first, and then, let me have a cup of tea, and then by the time you finish, like, you know what, let me just get ready for work. Exactly, and then the exercise just goes out of the window. Whereas when you just get up, right there in front of your bed, just do those sit-ups, whatever you need to do, 10, get it in there. In the bathroom, while you're brushing your teeth, just do your squats, do it, whatever you need to do, because there's no right or wrong, particularly when it comes to health. There's no right way, apart from, of course, if it's a serious medical condition, you need to seek expert opinion. But when it comes to your own self-caring, you know what works for you. You know your routine, right? I'm a busy man. I've got 3 young children. I've got a busy profession. I support my husband in ministry. There's other things I'm involved in. There's so many things going on. So I have so many excuses not to move, not to do exercise. But you have to make it happen somehow. So what I'm saying is, guys, make it happen, okay? Because it is important. Your life depends on it.
Wow. Thank you so much for this. And also because I don't know, probably maybe somebody might still be going through this. I remember, like, in my own culture, doing exercise is a little bit awkward, So like, yeah, I don't know if you had this experience. Like years ago when I was back there in Africa, in my own house, nobody want to do exercise. We also like 4 or 5 guys in the house, but nobody wanna do exercise. And then my uncle was there, my cousin, and everybody were there. But I love to work out. I love it right from time. And because nobody want to join me to do this, I was feeling a little bit shy when doing it. And sometimes when I want to work out in the morning, I have to wake up very early in the morning where everybody is still asleep, so that nobody sees me that I'm going to work out. I know I was doing something right, but I was a bit shy or ashamed of it because nobody is subscribing with me to do this.
Yeah.
And, I think if you know your health is quite important, you shouldn't care about what anybody thinks about it. This is right for you. Get your running shoes, go on the streets, run as much, even if it is 2 kilometers you can run. Do it and come back to your heart. This is healthy for you.
Yes.
This is healthy for you. Thank you so much for this wonderful piece of information. So another thing I really want us to talk about is, when you'll be handed the news of being diagnosed, when somebody's being handed the news of being diagnosed with cancer, it's like the judge coming from the jury room telling you you'll be sentenced to death, and this I think this is how he hit a lot of people.
Yes.
Because the moment you hear the word cancer, what you are thinking about, okay, now I'm gonna die. So now let's because, and also I read sometime that being mentally strong can actually help to power your immune system against fighting cancer or something. If we have relatives or friends or acquaintance or whoever who happen to be diagnosed with cancer, how do you think we can provide emotionally support or help or assistance to these kind of people?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think you rightly, said it. When people are given a diagnosis of cancer, to them it's like the end of life, the end of my life. They just see death. And I think often that actually that notion comes from a place of not knowing about cancer. Most people know about cancer from what people have said, from what they've read, in the news, or they just saw someone die from cancer. So not from a place of knowledge. And that creates that anxiety. But of course, when someone is given the diagnosis of cancer, even though but they might even know that I'm not going to die from it, but they know that there's the potential that they could die from it. And also, the fear of, oh God, what does this mean for me? How does it affect my family, my children, if they have any, my work, am I going to lose my job? So there's sometimes a stigma even attached to it, depending on the community you come from or you live in. Sometimes when you're told you have cancer, most people keep it a secret because people are going to judge them, or people are going to, say, oh, maybe it is the devil. Like my own culture, some people are going to say it's a judgment. Maybe you did something wrong. So there's that, all those emotions. Yes. You did something wrong, maybe it's a punishment, so all those kind of weird beliefs, is then put on this person. So you then all of a sudden, it feels like your life is just changed, and you've been given this awful news. And it doesn't have to be like that. And I would say that, if you are around someone who has been affected or has been told that they have cancer, you have a responsibility to support that person. First of all, they've not done something. They've not done anything wrong. The way I see it from a doctor's point of view, the way I see cancer, I see it like diabetes, like high blood pressure. Diabetes can kill people, right? High blood pressure can kill people. It's the same. It's a disease, basically. Okay, but something can be done about it. So emotionally, it's important that you support the person that has been affected by cancer. Of course, I know that even the family people can also be affected. So it's important to support one another. It's important, I think, for the person that has been diagnosed with the cancer to be aware of their emotions, of their, it comes back down to being aware of your health, being health aware, being health conscious about your body, what works for you and what doesn't. Because then when even you start feeling those emotions, you know, okay, you know, I'm feeling a bit down, I'm feeling depressed about this, and you try to talk about it. So talking about the problem does help, because they say that what problem shared is a problem halved, right?
Yeah.
So when you actually talk about it, it helps than bottling it up. And talking about it with people that you trust, with your close friends, your close family, so you can get the support that you need. Also, make sure this is the time really for you to know who is in your corner, right? Because when you're diagnosed with cancer, it can be a long process. It's not just about the diagnosis, that's just even the beginning of the whole story. You know, the treatment that you have to go through, the side effects that you would go through, whether the treatment works or not, whether they have to change treatment, it can take months. Some people, it takes years for them to even go through the whole process. So that can be draining emotionally. It can be draining mentally. So having the right support, you know, around you is important. So the days that you're not feeling like up to it, you have someone that will come and drag you out of your bed and get you walking, or someone that will talk to you, someone that you can cry, you know, and as you just cry, basically, if you want to cry, be able to have that freedom to express your emotions. That is important. Making sure that you are seeking help, because sometimes we all need the help. And I think I speak this greatly for my community, because and coming from being a Black person, most of us, we stigmatize depression and anxiety. We make people feel awkward or weird, that, you know, so that people cannot even seek help when they need it. Or when people have to go and seek a counselor, we look at them like, what is wrong with you? You know, and that should not be like that. The same way you will go and seek advice for your education, go and seek advice for your, because you realize that you need help. It's the same way when it comes to our mental well-being. So seeking professional help, seeking the support of a counselor is important. One thing I find that cancer patients really benefit from is talking to other people that have suffered cancer or are going through the journey, you know, so that you don't feel like you're alone, because often you're not alone, actually. So talking to other people that have also going through the process is important. And, you know, just support, you know, be there for people is so important. That's part of why I got into what I'm doing, because, you know, we need one another. You know, no matter where we are in our lives, we need one another. And unfortunately, cancer is something that people have to go through. Okay, so if you are privileged to be in the circle of someone going through a difficult time like cancer, then you have a responsibility to support that person, not to judge them, not to even make the matters worse by spreading rumors and telling other people, but actually being there for that person and giving them the ear they need and the support and the shoulder they need, you know. So it is important, yes.
Wow, honestly, this is really a relief news to most people, I would take, because sometimes a lot of people just believe when the news or when being diagnosed of cancer, they think this is it, this is the death sentence, and but from your own point of view, it's not actually a death sentence. It doesn't
Nope.
mean it's the end of life. You know, well, this is really quite amazing. So, but let's talk about the genetic susceptibility and maybe the mutation or something. You know, there are most of us who come from a family history whereby the cancer has been recorded in so many not pleasant cases. You know, but coming from that kind of history, does it really does it really provide the chances of somebody having a cancer or something?
So when we talk about genetic susceptibilities, I mean, like I said, with cancer, what has gone wrong is, you know, actually all cancers, because something has gone wrong in the signaling point from the genetic point, because your genes are the one that sends messages to cells. So something has gone wrong, right? But when we talk about true genetic susceptibility, i.e., someone has inherited a gene that is definitely going to predispose them or make them have cancer. When you look at the statistics, only 5 to 10%, okay, of all cancers is caused by genes. It's due to a genetic defect. Only 5 to 10, okay? Now, for me, that's empowerment, because all of a sudden, it means that the 90 to 95% of cancers are not due to a gene. It's not because you've inherited the gene from your father or your mother, okay? And therefore you're definitely going to have it. It's only 5 to 10% of cancers. For example, breast cancer. So we know some certain types of breast cancer, there's a genetic predisposition. So they've identified 2 genes that actually, if you have that gene, you're definitely going to have breast cancer. I mean, we all read about the story of Angelina Jolie, right? Because the family have the cancer, the gene, so she had to make a decision to have her breast removed because, you know, the risk is there. She's different. The rest of the people, now, how many breast cancers are due to that gene? 2%. 2% of breast cancers are due to that gene, okay, that we know, we've identified to cause breast cancers. That means that what? The 98% of women that are going to have breast cancer, there's no gene they've inherited, right? It's because of environmental factors, because of lifestyle factors, which can influence. And sometimes, even though, yes, sometimes people are doing all the necessary things. So they're looking after themselves, they're eating well, they have healthy weight, and at random, you know, they might have cancer. And in those cases, we cannot explain why that has happened. But if it comes to, oh, you know, my family has the gene, of course, once your family has a gene, a specific gene, which has been identified to increase risk of cancer, your risk is also higher. Yeah, that even also goes for colon cancer, for bowel cancer. There's a gene, specific gene that causes certain types of bowel cancer. So if you have that gene, then your risk is definitely, that means that definitely, no matter what, you might get a cancer. In those kind of people, they screen them a bit more regularly. So they would follow them up. So if there's a strong family history, I would suggest that if you've never addressed it, this is why it's good sometimes to talk to your family, your parents, and say, oh, is there any conditions I should be aware of? Yeah. And that's when, if you know there is, then, you know, then speak to your doctor. Do I need genetic counseling? Do I need to see a specialist to find out whether I need specific testing? Do I need to be followed up regularly for that? Because we know, even though the screening programs, particularly for breast cancer, for cervical cancer, for bowel cancer as well, there's some form of screening going on. It's only for certain age groups it starts, because that group has been identified to be more at risk in terms of age. But that means that there might be someone who is in her 30s, who's got a family member who's got a genetic risk, right? So that person, even though they don't meet the criteria for screening, but they should be followed up, and they would be offered the screening because of that. So that's why knowing your genetic history in terms of conditions is important. Not only that, if there's a family history of any form of cancer, so not necessarily because you have the gene, yeah, that causes cancer, but the fact that there's a strong family history. So maybe your mother had a breast cancer, your mother's sister had breast cancer, your auntie had breast cancer or something. So there's this strong history, even though none of them had that particular gene, but there's this strong history of it, then your risk would also be higher compared to the average woman, yeah, who doesn't have that risk.
Wow. This is really pretty amazing. I'm another question is this, like probably maybe this might basically to people like me who really have no knowledge of their history so much. Because like now I barely know my mom, because I was about 8 going to 10 when my mom died. So I really don't know so much about her history or something. And I met my father when I was almost about 30 years or thereabouts. So, so I don't know so much about his history, his health history as well, And I don't know so much about the history of the health status of the family, So for people like us that really have so much knowledge about the health history of our family or something, so how often will you recommend them to go for cancer check?
There's no specific test for cancer, okay? Because like I said, there's like different, because I've had patients come to me, doctor, can I have the cancer test? There's nothing like that, right? Because there's different types of cancer, depending on where the cancer is, you know. So we can't, there's no special test, that one test that the doctor can do for you that will say you've got cancer. There's nothing like that, okay? I think somebody needs to hear that, because I see a lot of people go to doctor, doctor, my mom, someone had cancer. They're not even sure what type of cancer it was, and they just want that test that is going to find out whether they have cancer. There's nothing like that, all right? Because normally what happens, like I said, that's when you learn to be mindful of symptoms, okay? And that still comes back down to being aware of your body. And the senses, your senses need to be heightened. Because when you know your body, when things are a bit different, you know, and you can pick it up, right? So symptom recognition is still very important. So most of the time it's reliant on symptoms, because if a patient or someone presents with a particular symptoms, as a doctor, I'm able to ask the relevant questions to see, okay, is this person at risk? And do I need to do more tests? Or is this something that I can reassure the person, because actually there's nothing wrong. You have a headache. Actually, your headache, you don't have a brain tumor. You actually just have a migraine, or because you are stressing a lot, and that's why you have this headache, okay? I'm able to use my knowledge to be able to tease out based on what they present with. But if the patient doesn't present at all, that's a problem, yeah? Because they might then present much, much later when things have escalated. So the cancer has spread, and they probably end up very sick in hospital before someone did a scan and they found out that they've got cancer, but it's too late. So there's no specific test. So I would say that as individual, like the more we are aging naturally, as we are getting older, really from age 40, your risk of a lot of things start building up, okay? So it all starts of how you look after yourself. And if you're a young person actually listening, I would say that, when you are young, that's when you need to really take care of yourself, look after yourself. Because whatever you do now is what is going to serve you in your 40s, in your 60s, okay? Some people are doing some catch up, they are now in their 50s. They're just trying to catch up what they should have done 20 years ago. And we all know that it's difficult, right? It gets more difficult as you're getting older, because your body is even tired, and so it becomes difficult to even do exercise. It becomes harder. You have to put more effort, right? So actually being mindful of your health and taking care of yourself from beginning in terms of what you eat, how you eat, is important. Are you making time to sleep? Because that's one thing that we didn't touch on, but sleep is also a risk factor. If you're not sleeping enough, it can be a risk factor for cancer, because when we sleep is when your body repairs itself. That's when your immune system gets to work, mop up all the rubbish it needs to mop up, needs to clear its system. That's when the body does that. A lot of us don't sleep nowadays. We stay at the screen all day. And because we live in a world where, it's like we should be high achievers. If you're an entrepreneur, it's like, most entrepreneurs pride themselves in the fact that they do so fantastic on just 4 hours of sleep. But it's fantastic that you are still carrying on. Maybe you're even having Red Bull along the way, or, energy drinks to keep you awake, but you are happy that you're doing that. But you need to be asking yourself, what harm am I causing to my cells, my tissues, my organs inside my body? It might not show now, but it might show down the line in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time. And if you really want to live, still be alive and still being fantastic, 20 years' time, 40 years' time, then you definitely need to be changing your mindset about that and actually making sure you're getting good enough sleep. And you should be aiming for 8 hours. That's what the science has shown, that actually is a good amount of sleep to allow the body to do what it needs to do. Most of us, we are like, we are just overlapping, yeah? So we sleep 5 hours, maybe tomorrow we sleep 7 hours. So we're never catching up. We're never catching up, and we're causing more harm than good. So just be mindful. That means that you need to have your regular checks. If you don't have a family history, so it's all dependent on how you're looking after yourself. It's dependent on when you are noticing symptoms, when you are seeking help. It's dependent on whether you're having your regular checks. Okay, health check. I mean, I'm a primary care physician, so, health check is something I always drum into people's head. Have health checks. But normally I notice that when you are well, you are well, right? I mean, I think we all know, naturally, the senses are there. When I'm really feeling good in myself, I know the difference. And when I'm not feeling good in myself, I know the difference, yeah? So it's just learning to be aware of that. It doesn't mean you need to go and see your doctor every month and ask for blood tests, but at least once a year, or even, every 2 years, if you are well, if you don't have any other health problems, then once a year, just going to have your regular checks is fantastic. Don't ignore that. Okay, so that you would have to depend on that. Basically, you need to make sure you're looking after yourself. You need to make sure when things are a bit different, you don't just brush it off, that you actually pay attention and that you take the necessary action.
Wow, wow, this is really amazing, man. Really, 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 really amazing. Another thing I want us to quickly talk about. Honestly, time flies, man. It looks as if This is really quite interesting. So let's quickly talk about your lifestyle. I think this is probably going to be very useful for most of my age mates, my age class and categories or something.
Yes.
Like permit me to use a bit of the scripture here, like when Paul said that when I was young, when I was a child, I used to act like a child, but now I'm an adult, I behave more of an adult, and I've truly childish teen or something. There were times in my life I used to believe maybe being in a club and buying a bottle of Hennessy, emptying it to the half, and that's what fun is all about, or maybe smoking a lot of weed and cigarette or something. That was what fun is all about. I think there are some practical lifestyle that we use to endanger ourselves as a people. I want to quickly talk about this. What are some of these practical lifestyles or steps that we can take as a person to prevent against cancer?
Yeah, I think we've mentioned some of them. So we talked about diet, right? Nutrition, what we eat.
Yeah.
And like I said, make sure you're having more vegetables, more plants, more natural stuff in your diet. So try and cut out as much as you can all the processed artificial foods. They have no nutritional value. Additives, things have been added to it, which is going to cause more harm to your body. So basically, your food is what you need to work on, what you're eating. Make sure you're eating regularly, because sometimes people nowadays we skip meals, all sorts of people just eat all sorts of things. They just on the go, just grab whatever. But actually be intentional and conscious about what you're putting inside your body, okay? Because it's going to have impact, yeah? So what you're eating, physical activity, keep active. Be deliberate about it. Be intentional about it. So make sure that every day you are getting a level of exercise, and like we've said already, you don't have to go to the gym to do that, okay? Sleep. Make sure you're getting good sleep. Prioritize your sleep, because sleep is so important. The reason why we have day and night, that is why we have day and night, for a reason, right?
Sleep.
That's why God puts day and night. It's for a reason, because God knows that, okay, in the day is you're active, you're walking around, your body is actually just trying to help you go on, so that you're clear at work, you're meeting targets and all that. But night is for the body to then recuperate, for the body to also to recover from itself, to heal itself, to do what it needs to do. So make time to sleep. Don't let anybody take your sleep from you. Make sure you make time to sleep. So that's that. Smoking, okay? We say that, substance misuse. So smoking, alcohol, drugs, recreational drugs, even though it might make you feel good, but most people that take drugs will tell you, you probably can tell us, from past experience, it makes you feel good, but what's the after effect? Often you feel very rubbish and very rough, right? And often then people then goes into the cycle of, okay, let me take it to feel good, but they know actually it's causing more harm. So, basically substance misuse, alcohol, I'm a doctor, so I'm supposed to tell you, drink in moderation. But what does that mean actually, Because what is moderation for one is, toxic for one. But, it comes down, it's your decision, it's your body, right?
Yeah,
so you need to make a decision. If that's the way you want to go, then, well, be ready for what comes with it, okay? But if not, then make a conscious decision that you're going to make changes. And I know habits are hard to break. So even sometimes what I say to people, I'm not really into, cut this out, cut this out, cut this out. I'm more into put this in, put this in, put this in.
yeah.
So put the good stuff in. Start putting the good stuff in. Put the good stuff in. Yeah. Keep putting the good stuff in. You know what will happen? Naturally, you will start feeling so good that you don't have a taste for those bad things anymore. Naturally, it just starts, disappearing. So just keep putting the good stuff in your body. Think about that. Because the mistake that most of us make is that we always look at the external. We always look after this. Look, I've done my hair beautifully, right? Okay. But if I don't look after my scalp, the likelihood is that my hair will fall out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can do my makeup and everything, but if I don't look at my after my eyes, if I don't put the right nutrition into my body that would support the function of my eyes, you know, my eyesight will not be that great. Do you understand? And that's even more important than the mascara or the lashes that I can put on, because I need my eyes to see. So when you are doing anything about your hair, think about the inside. It's not about, you know, the outside. You can buy the most expensive clothing, the most expensive shoes. Spend that money to buy things that will go inside the body, because that's where your kidney, your liver, you know, you need to know the state of those things. Those are the things that are keeping you going, okay? Your suit, if you drop now, somebody's going to take that suit.
Yeah, pick up the suit, man.
Pick up your suit. They will cry a few tears and like, oh, thank you, uncle, for leaving me with your suit. And they will wear it and go, okay? So you need to be looking after the vital things. That's what they call them, vital organs. Your body depends on it. So put the right things in your body. And I think it comes from that mindset. You know, that mindset, you know, make the right investment in yourself. And make that investment to be the number one, to be about your health. Because like I said at the beginning, if your health is in place, everything, I mean, you can be the CEO of your whatever, but make sure that you are doing it well when you are well, right? Yeah. Otherwise, you get the position and then you drop dead. We don't want that, okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. This is really nice, because sometimes we pay so much attention to what we put, what we wear, the kind of makeup we put on, the shoes we want. We care so much about our hair, but when it comes to like having to do with some good nutrition, we have issue with it. Yeah. And then, like you said before, like you said just now, that habits are hard to break. But when you form good habits and stack it up on top of the old habits you have already, before you know what, you're already getting rid of the old habits.
Yes.
You know, this is really quite interesting. You know, honestly, I really don't know how to appreciate you for your time and for these priceless. Honestly, this is the priceless. I don't know how to appreciate you. I really thank you so much for your time and for the knowledge and for the information and the wisdom that you've used to collect everything together, you know. So my question is this: you as a person, you'll be doing incredibly great for each and every one of us, for humanity. You know, what impact do you really want to see yourself make in the world?
That's a big question, isn't it? One thing I know, I mean, it comes from the place of who I am. And one thing I really know, that it's God's design, right? For each and every one of us to be in totality of health, to be in good health. And for me, it gives me joy to know that people are thriving in their health. So I want to impact people, give them that power, give them that knowledge, give that support, that skill, whatever it is they need to be able to work in that optimum health, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, everything. Because I think when we are the total package, you know, when it comes to our health, everything just falls into place. And there's nothing more good feeling than seeing someone, you know, just thriving, just being whole, being well in themselves. As a doctor, I see a lot of people in really bad places, you know, in terms of their health. Yeah. And it just breaks my heart. And often it's because people don't have that awareness, or people that don't have that knowledge. And I've just made it part of my mission to really, you know, step out of my comfort zone, step out of my office, you know, and get that message across to people. Because first of all, you are very important. Every individual is unique. Every individual has an assignment, a purpose, whatever that is. Why you are here on earth, you are gifted. You are a gift to us to be a blessing to whatever that is. But for me, it gives me joy to know that you're doing that. You know, you are number one. You're doing that from that that place of you, you know, the totality of you, having that total health is important to me. So I want to impart that knowledge, raise that awareness, and hopefully I'm helping someone, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe that it's healthy individuals that make healthier communities and make healthier nations. Okay, so it starts with just that one person, and I don't mind who that person is, but I want to tell them so that they can, you know, be empowered in their health. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. This is amazing. This is amazing. There is one question I really don't want to let go. You know, of course, I know I've taken a lot of your time. I actually wanted this thing to be within an hour, but I can't just help myself to continue. You know, so
That's
yeah,
fine.
you know, let's see. You know, I used to know someone who was being diagnosed with cancer, and during the diagnosis, they told him that the cancer was at stage 1, which was very small in a particular area or something. You know, they asked him to go back and come back after like about 6 months or thereabout, or whatever it is. And went back to the hospital, they told it was a skin cancer. So when he went back to the hospital, they told him that they can't find the cancer anymore. So now my question is this: without medical treatment, maybe like a chemo or something, is it possible for our immune system to fight cancer or cure cancer without the help of medical assistance or something?
I think it's possible because you know what, like I said to you, our immune system is like the power tool. It's really kitted. I mean, when you study the immune system, we even have things like killer cells. Okay, we have cells called killer cells. We have tumor suppressing cells. So we have the gadgets there to be able to. And I suspect that there will be a lot of cancers that we will never know about, or will never be expressed in somebody's body, because the immune system has dealt with it. Do you understand? So it is possible, because the same way that you hurt yourself, you have a wound and it heals, right? And
Yeah,
that's actually, isn't that power? That's powerful,
it's powerful.
that
Yeah.
the body can actually have the ability to do that. So it makes you know that there's nothing really that this body, it's just that we haven't discovered it yet. Okay. So I believe that the body has that to do. So also the other question is, okay, what did this person really have that cancer? Yeah, because we can go the other side and say, was it, you know, maybe the first diagnosis they made was a wrong diagnosis, because sometimes we misdiagnose people with things and they might not have it. So, of course, and also being a person of faith, I believe in the supernatural. So I also know that, you know, it is possible for some people to receive healing, a supernatural healing, not necessarily because of medicine they received or treatment, okay? Because people get healed in different ways. There are people that will have medication in order for them to be rid of their cancer. There will be people that will need surgery in order to be rid of their cancer. There will be people that, you know, they might be in a gathering and that's how their cancer would disappear. And doctors are like, we can't explain what happened here, you know, but it's happened. And there's documentations of that. So I will never say never, but I believe that the immune system is so powerful, okay? And it is able to do that. And of course, we are still having more understanding of how the immune system, we're discovering more about the body, because this body is so complex, but it's amazing, okay, what it can do. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for this piece of information. I really do appreciate this, man. You know, like you as a person, as a medical doctor, and as a motivational speaker, a coach, and a mentor, you juggle a lot of things together, actually. You know, so for anyone who would like to reach out to you, either for speaking engagement, for medical advice on mentorship or whatever it is, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. Okay, I'm on Facebook, Dr. Ario. So I have a Facebook page. I also have a non-profit organization, Fit for Purpose, which is on Facebook as well. So just, you know, search for my name and you'll be able to find that. You can always send me a message through that and I would respond to you. You can send me an email Actually, I prefer you send me the message through Facebook, then I can handle it that way, because sometimes the emails get a lot, okay? So just in case I don't remember to send you a response back, so you're not offended, but definitely you can find me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, Dr. Ario. So by that same way, you can message me and I would get back to you. Then of course, you can always speak to my wonderful friend and brother here, if you know him, and then he would connect us.
Fantastic, fantastic. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Dr. Ario, don't to go to official. Don't try to be too official. I have to send an email to them. Just hit Facebook and let's make it easy.
Yeah,
So,
I'm on YouTube as well, actually. So I have a YouTube channel.
fantastic.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I do a lot of videos there, very useful videos. And I make it very practical because I think, health shouldn't be that complicated, okay? So I try to break it down. I try to speak in very simple terms. As you can see, I'm a doctor, but I try not to use jargons, and that's actually very intentional because I want my grandmother to be listening to this and actually make sense of what I'm saying and not say, what did the doctor say? I cannot explain it. So I intentionally actually try to speak in normal language so that, every person, can understand what I'm saying, because I want you to be able to live here and having picked something to be able to apply to your health and not actually complicate things and make things more difficult for you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. And like we said before, if you find it difficult to get in touch with Dr. Ario, you can as well just reach out to me. And I can be a very good PA actually. And also I think actually this could be a very good advice to most doctors. Sometimes these guys, they confuse us with terminology. And at the end of the day, even their writing, you get confused and you get a prescription from the hospital, you don't even know how to read it. So I think I really appreciate your humility in coming down to our level to being able to explain things to us. I really, really, really appreciate this. Thank you so much for your time. And I believe a lot of us are going to get a lot of so much to take out of this section. And I pray God give you more grace and more enablement to keep doing what you are doing. So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this section. If this section is something you think is going to be of benefit to somebody you know, to your friends, to your family, I will please recommend that you can share. You have the right to share to whichever platform you can share it to. And you can reach out to Dr. Ario on her Facebook and emails and YouTube, and check out most of our content. They are very useful and they can be very helpful to each and every one of us. So thank you so much, and I look forward to meet you again on my next section. Have a good evening and God bless. Thank you so much, Six. I really appreciate for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate you. Thank you.